On that, the rage baiting, I think that's like a huge, like unironically, that's a huge factor to why we have such an issue. And like, I think the online political scene is very harmful, and it has not been used in a beneficial way at all. I think a lot more people are doing it out of entertainment. You know, they enjoy getting a reaction from people, whether they agree with what they're saying or not, you know. It's become much more, how do I get a reaction from this person, and how do I assert that I'm correct?
Welcome back to the Discourse Debrief, everybody. I am Peyton.
I'm Logan.
I'm Abby.
And we have a guest with us today. Just before we get started, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Maggie.
Cool.
Anything else?
Yeah.
What's your major?
I'm a double major in public health and political science.
Woohoo.
Ooh, damn, cracked.
Yes.
So you're going to have a lot of valuable input for our topic today. But before we get into our topic, Abby, can you let us know about our upcoming events?
Yes, so the Discourse Series is having an event on October 7th. Time TBD, place TBD. It is AI and education, well, the future of AI and education. And I am pretty sure it's going to be a panel, and I think me, Peyton, and Logan are all on it. So you should stop by, check our Instagram for any updates on event time and event place.
Amen.
Cool.
Well, without further ado, let's get into, the first real topic of Season 3.
And it is quite the topic.
It is quite the topic indeed. So we're going to be discussing the nature of political violence. We had a very big moment in American history, the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, and it's causing a lot of kind of strife amongst Americans on all sides of the spectrum. And I feel like it's really important that we talk about it. Mm-hmm. So let's just get started with kind of easing everybody in. Like, how did that event make you feel? How did you learn about it? This might be our version of 9/11, you know?
Jesus.
But
Well,
you'd be surprised. People are already saying it online. But I guess
That's
let's start with
online.
you, Logan.
I'll give, two opinions. I was probably one of many to see the actual close-up of the shot happen not in real time, but like a video of it. And that, if you're on the internet long enough, you do see stuff like that, and I have, but it's still just whoa, it's just weird. Not even weird. That doesn't even do it justice. It's something else to just see a human body react in that way, and it's very disturbing. Don't watch it. But from a political opinion, I mean, obviously, in a democracy, violence should never be the answer. Keyword should. But yeah, it is setting us up in a weird way where it's going to drive a lot more people to further to the right, and then those people will push people further to the left. So it is just a recipe for more radicalization and extremism, which is not necessarily great, especially in our country where we're already very, very, very divided. So that is my broad, politically correct opinion.
Nah, fair enough. What about you?
I had a very similar initial reaction. I immediately thought about how it was gonna, retaliation, specifically against the left, which is exactly what happened. And there was a lot of infighting on both sides. I think both parties experienced a lot of divisiveness, and it was a very, you didn't really know what to say to who kind of moment. And that was just I immediately thought of how it was going to be spun to negatively impact already oppressed groups.
Yeah, what about you, Abby?
yeah, I agree with that. I do not like Charlie Kirk. I did not think he was a very good person in the slightest. However, it was kind of horrifying to see somebody assassinated that publicly like that. I think that's kind of just a human reaction to seeing something that horrifying. I was also concerned for the pushback against the left specifically just because there was not a shooter in custody initially. And I was a little worried that people would play the blaming game and pointing fingers, which is exactly what happened. And I'm just worried, I guess, for the future that it's going to lead to more violence in our country. So
Yeah, no, my reaction was broadly similar to y'all's. Saw the video not like 10 minutes after it got uploaded. And it hit me really hard emotionally. And again, I also despise Charlie Kirk. I was actually supposed to debate him a year ago on campus, but I ended up sleeping in. But just because of how like close he was, like in terms of like people I knew who knew him, or like my opportunity to talk to him, it just felt a lot more real than other kinds of violence I've seen, and it really rubbed me the wrong way. That and being on a college campus. I mean, I was here with the one disgruntled ex-student who came in and murdered his professor on campus, and that was pretty terrifying. And now we have this with Charlie Kirk. So being like a college student is definitely a scary moment too. But well, I guess where I want to take this now is like, what do we think, given like the political climate today, the strife between the parties, the MAGA cult, I don't even know if we can call them Democrats anymore. I don't really know what they are. What do we think led up to such a major and public assassination like this?
Any of you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, I can go first. So I did a little bit of research before this, and Professor Barbara Walter from UC San Diego, who's an expert on political violence, said that there are like two big warning signs in a country or a nation that like the potential of political violence could occur. So the first one is a weak and rapidly changing democracy. She calls it an anocracy, which is like the in-between of an autocracy and a democracy. And then the second one is choosing a political party based on race, religion, or ethnicity, not primarily ideology, which I think is something that we kind of are currently seeing in our country specifically, like the rise of like Christian white nationalists and choosing the Republican Party because they support Trump or other things like that. And I think that that could have been a really big cause to political violence in our country specifically.
Yeah, I mean, kind of with that too, and just like the sort of tightness of our elections, all the things that Trump's been saying about the 2020 election, and then kind of the reactions to that. Like, you can probably just categorize like this instance, and probably many instances of political violence, is just reactionism to something that someone said, someone believes, someone whatever. And yeah, it's just it is evidence that like words have failed in one sense or another. So
yeah. What about you? I mean, have you like learned anything about like in the classes you're studying for politics or?
Yeah, I think that the primary, like my immediate go-to is that this is entirely both parties' fault. The reason why we've gone to this extreme is because people on the left, they don't know if they can trust their Democratic leaders. I think a lot of people feel like no one is speaking for them and no one is making actual change, and unfortunately that leads to things like this. Because you have one party that's doing a lot in a very extreme way, and then you have another party that's honestly not doing anything. As much as that frustrates me, like, I think that the weakened state of trust within citizens and their powers is what leads to things like this. Because, like, if you feel silent and you don't feel like there's anything that you can do, you're hopeless, you're helpless, a lot of people are struggling financially, and like that leads to a detachment from society. And I think that that's what's causing this extreme reaction.
For sure.
No, 1,000%. And I think I'd be willing to go a step further and put not all, of course, but a lot of blame directly onto Trump. The rhetoric that we've seen from him that gets filtered through Fox and Friends down to the alternative media sources, it's all very fear-mongering. It's all very, they are out to get you. And eventually people are going to act on that out of fear, right? And, Trump was the one who, and we can talk about this if we want to, is, I would say, responsible for J6, which was
100%.
president-sanctioned political violence to attempt a coup, which only failed because the vice president had a backbone, right?
Yep.
And I don't know, I feel like a lot of this polarization we're seeing is a direct response to the MAGA cult listening to their leader. I don't know to what extent you guys would agree.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I'd also like to talk about social media as like a really, really big influence in young adults, especially like red pill culture, Andrew Tate, all of those like really big macho MAGA men that are like kind of inundating young men and sometimes women with like their ideology. And I think if you spend a lot of time on social media, especially like I know I do, for sure, I spend a lot of time on social media. If you spend a lot of time, you kind of become like desensitized to a lot of things that you're seeing, and you just think it's normal. So like you'll think violence is normal, you think hate is normal, and fear is a really, really big factor to drive people to do extreme things that they do. And I think on both parties, kind of people that were in the moderate have gone to the extremes because of social media and the internet in general.
Yeah, and it's not even like famous people on the internet too. It's like if you're just arguing with someone back and forth, like on the internet, it is completely useless, and you will get frustrated, and eventually you'll get to a point where you're just like, you know, what's the point of me doing this? Nothing's going to change. I'm not going to change this guy's mind. More than likely, he's rage baiting me. So, I mean, it'll drive you to do some very, very not good things, as we have seen.
Yeah. On that, the rage baiting, I think that's like a huge, like unironically, that's a huge factor to why we have such an issue. And like, I think the online political scene is very harmful, and it has not been used in a beneficial way at all. I think a lot more people are doing it out of entertainment. You know, they enjoy getting a reaction from people, whether they agree with what they're saying or not, you know. It's become much more, how do I get a reaction from this person, and how do I assert that I'm correct, than actually listening. And obviously on social media, it's very hard to put a face to words.
For sure.
And so it's so much easier to not try to listen or anything. Yeah. Where like, I think I have a frustration that I don't think that schools or like, there's not enough spaces where we're allowed to have these conversations and where we're actually having face-to-face like discourse. But like, and I think that that's a serious issue because people aren't understanding like, you know.
Yeah, I can like ground this in a personal way, especially for us too. For our Regents competition, our debate competition, back when we were doing like tryouts and practice, we had a mock debate of whether or not social media was good for democracy. Do you remember that? And it is crazy to think like how much things have changed since then. It hasn't even been a year because it was in the spring, and it's like there's so much has changed and things have gotten so much worse since that time, where we were like still thinking like, oh, maybe social media is good for democracy, and obviously the answer now is just a unanimous no. So it's insane.
Well, just to like kind of dissect why exactly it is a unanimous no. I mean, when we think of like political media, there are different ways we can think about it, but primarily there are two sides. There's the MAGA cult, which is huge, enormous, tendrils are going throughout every kind of media. And then, if we're looking at it critically, it's the far left socialist commies, tankies, right? But because that's all that either Democrats or the right see, that's all that's propelled in their minds, and it becomes what the entirety of the Democratic Party represents in the public mind, which is not very helpful in and of itself, but let alone it's contributing to that very polarizing fear-mongering, right? Both sides of our media sphere are the extremes, and one extreme is much larger in population and power than another. But nonetheless, if there are any, true centrists or like moderates left, that all they're seeing is the radicalized sides fighting back and forth. And what do you guys make of, that kind of media dynamic today? How there's only, far left representing the left in popular media, or that MAGA has overtaken every possible aspect of the media. What do you make of that?
I have a very, very short thing, and it's just like it all has to do with algorithms. In advertising, we used to have this phrase, it was called like sex sells. So anything that was like kind of sexually implicit, people flocked to that. And now it's rage. rage sells. Rage will keep you engaged. Rage will keep you on social media no matter what. And that is what is driving everyone further to the right, further to the left, whichever you pick. So it is all just algorithms.
Yeah, I think that those extreme values get the most likes, clicks, and views. And so the people that are creating them are kind of like awarded for putting that content out there. And so much so that they make more. And then people want to make content like theirs so they get as famous and rich as they are. And I think that like the people that are in the middle kind of get lost within that because they may be putting content out there, they may be doing things like that, but it doesn't have that like sensationalism factor that the extremes on both sides have. So they're kind of getting like swept under the rug a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd a little bit push back that the two sides are extreme left and extreme right. I think extreme right MAGA is definitely very prevalent, but I'd say on the left, it's more so the SJW, like demographic, if you will, or like liberal, very kind of like, and I'm very much on the left, but like the very social issues are the only thing that matters, and the kind of like these petty little debates over pronouns and everything that are kind of like, and I think that's what's being pushed a lot more, and people aren't understanding that the left, there is a group of the left that deals with economic issues and more deep-rooted things.
I think there's a really interesting reason for that, is if you consider like talking heads on the right, you've got, Ben Shapiro, you've got Tim Pool, you've got people from Fox News, all these different people. There's countless of them. Who is there on the left outside of like maybe 5 people?
Yeah, well, it's Hassan, who's like very openly like socialist, and there tends to. I think I'd grant that like the SJW stuff was a lot maybe early to mid 2010s was when it was prevalent, but nowadays like Hassan is the head of Twitch, right, and he's a very pro like, socialist kind of guy, and that's okay for you to have that opinion, but I feel like it's shifted away from like the woke left and more so into the political, we want to change the structure of government left. At least that's what's most popular for the streaming demographics. And
another evidence to that point, I recently saw that AOC is planning a run for either president or the Senate. So that was leaked like not even a few hours ago. So, and she's obviously to the left than your establishment Democrats. So that is evidence in and of itself, and how much support she has. That is evidence that the party is moving further and further to the left, which we can discuss maybe later if that's good or bad.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of like ground things out. We've been talking about the media for a bit, and it undeniably has like a crazy influence on all of our perceptions, but most of us maybe don't act on them necessarily. Maybe we'll talk as if, talk about the things we've learned or the rage that's been baited, right? But, sometimes in some unfortunate cases, people end up acting on this rhetoric that's been festering in their minds. What is it that you think is like a kind of breaking point, or is there ever such a breaking point in a given person's head? Is it something built up over time to cause someone to do political violence?
I think mental health plays a big factor into why people commit violent acts. I also think a feeling of helplessness, like no matter what I do, nothing's going to change. I have no power. That can make people take matters into their own hands, into a fact for it's just like a matter of control. Like they want to regain control in their lives. They want to regain control in the lives of people that are like them. And I think that's why it leads people to their breaking point and to commit acts of violence.
Yeah. Since the semester started, I'm in Sociology 342, which is just criminology, and it goes over a lot of different theories as to what causes crime, why do people do it, and there are lots of different ones, different levels of popularity, biological factors, psychological factors, and then it gets a little more complicated. It could be the environment you grow up in. It could be whether or not you view that the risk doesn't outweigh the reward. But all this to say that like crime, and especially for political assassinations, is very hard to understand, but it also makes it hard to prevent to an extent. So what do y'all think, like, I imagine the dream would be that there is no more political violence, but
Just crime.
or crime in general, but political violence. And what would need to change in y'all's heads and y'all's opinions to really bring the temperature down in our country? Sorry, y'all, technical difficulties. Had to figure it out, but we've got it working now. This is recording again. But nonetheless, the question I was asking was, okay, given all of this context of the polarization of the media, of what people are seeing, is there any way we can bring down the temperature? I mean, what would have to happen in order for people around the country on all sides to be like, okay, actually, we shouldn't be doing violence. That's not the means we need to grab for.
Are you saying like we as individuals or we as like a part of a whole?
Both, I guess.
I guess my answer might not even be that different. As individuals, there's not really much we can do. I mean, we're doing this, which is great. We are using words, but ultimately, like, we're probably not gonna change a whole lot. As a part of a whole, I think the answer is still probably not a lot because the responsibility lies in the hands of our dear leader right here, and he's not doing anything. Like there is no call to turn down the temperature, as you said. There's he's more or less adding to it. He is adding to it, and it's interesting how all these talking heads on the right are immediately like, okay, we're in a war now. It's civil war. I'm like, what is your motivation to say that? Because first of all, you're putting a larger target on your back. Outside the neck, that would have been in bad taste.
Oh my God.
Cut that out.
And these are people that speak publicly. Why would you be saying that? That is only putting yourself in more danger. So I don't really get it. It is obviously adding fuel to the fire. And yeah, there's, as far as what we can do, not much. It's all this man right here.
Yeah, I think the polarization helps with his campaign, which is why he's not doing anything about it, or he's just lazy and doesn't want to do it.
Or he's crazy.
But I also kind of liked what Maggie was saying about having spaces where we can talk to real people about these issues instead of just talking on social media and fighting, because it's easier to fight with people that you can't see face to face. I feel like that human connection is a really important part of not being so divided when it comes to political issues and just socially as well. I feel like we've seen an increase in people not interacting with other people because of their political opinion. And I kind of have a mixed opinion about that because I don't really want to associate myself with people that are actively fighting against my rights. But then again, I don't know. I feel like if we have conversations with people, maybe we can understand where they're coming from a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel like it's it feels very hopeless to tackle this kind of thing because unfortunately the greatest power in our country is the one who's fueling it. So it's I don't really know what to say. And it is getting more and more harmful. These differing in opinions are literally life and death for certain groups. So it's not, as much as I would love for us to all hold hands and, see each other's point of view, it's also no, you legitimately believe black people are below you. And that's that's not something we can meet in the middle about. And so I think for me, who votes Democrat, I would love to see a little bit more pushback because unfortunately we have gotten to the point where the Trump administration is not going to stop. They're not going to stop upping the temp, turning up the temp. They're not going to stop promoting this and telling their fan base to go after liberals. They're not going to stop that. So I think we need some kind of fight. And as much as I think that political violence is never the answer at all, and being extreme with each other is obviously not helping, I just think that the Democrats are rolling over on their side. And I think that that's just allowing this power to take over even more because there's no, leftist individuals, citizens are very passionate about this and they're fighting these fights with these other Republican citizens, but that's not what we're seeing in the office.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really on them. I would love for them to actually do something instead of just say, we're with you, we're going to make change for you. I'm like, then do it. Like,
I will say, and again, this kind of goes back to that what we see on the media point. There are two anecdotes I have recently that give me like the mildest bit of hope. The first is an interview that Trump did on Fox and Friends with him and like 3 other Fox News hosts. And if you're watching that video, it's immediately after the Charlie Kirk assassination. And if you critically watch it and distance yourselves from the like rhetoric, the rage bait that's been built up, you can see the Fox News hosts try so hard multiple times to try and coax Trump into saying, hey, how do we calm people down? How do we tone down the violence? How do we show Americans that this isn't the answer? And they're so patient with him. They're so loyal, but they're trying to get this very important answer out of him. And every single time Trump does his thing, he talks about the ballot boxes, he talks about Biden, he talks about everything but what they've asked him at least 5 times. I'd highly encourage you to go watch that interview. But I also had a conversation with my stepdad, who's a very MAGA Republican, and I made the mistake of assuming when talking to him that all of you guys want violence now. All I see is all of you want civil war. But he made it very clear to me, at least with him, he doesn't want civil war. He doesn't want more violence. And I think that the more conversations we do have face-to-face, we'll learn that actual day-to-day, even MAGA Republicans, especially more conservatives, don't actually want this, and it's what we're seeing propelled. But the only way that we're going to have it stop, which isn't going to happen, is Trump, I think, has to unilaterally come out and say, hey guys, no both sides, or no like one-sizing. Both sides need to calm down. And then his base will listen, and I imagine that we'll respond in kind. But that'll never happen, so I'm kind of at a loss.
I'm going to push back, I think, on both points. On the Fox News point, and obviously this is an individual, but it speaks to the institution of Fox and the right as a whole, is you can say like, you know, these interviewers are like trying to get Trump to admit that violence is wrong and whatnot. But then you have like, it was 2 weeks ago that there was a guy on Fox literally saying we should euthanize homeless people.
Yeah.
And then he like no repercussions for him, but like Jimmy Kimmel goes on his show and like says like the right is, part of the problem too, and he gets fired. So that's I don't see that being a glimmer of hope. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
And then as far as like your everyday people, let's say Trump does actually condemn the violence. There are going to be members of like the very, very far right, like people that consider Trump like just kind of in the middle, who are going to call him weak, who are going to, do whatever they do. And then they will embolden people who are, what's the word? Vulnerable to that kind of rhetoric, and just like the temperature. I don't see the temperature going down a lot, even if Trump denounces, the violence. And obviously, I don't think he will in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be willing to grant that, but he's he's the primary fuel of this fire. Like, they'll be like, Democrats are encouraging violence, the lefties are encouraging violence, when every single lawmaker immediately went out. Biden, Obama, AOC, Bernie, Newsom, all of them were like, hey, this is bad. We don't like this. If it's our own, we'll denounce it. But I guess on the media side of the left, maybe we don't see as much of that, so they're contributing to it. But at least like in terms of people in government who could do anything, it would have to be Trump himself.
Yeah, my only point on that, and then I'll open up to everyone else, is we are too far past that. Yes, Trump is the primary fuel of the fire, but it's too late, obviously. Mm-hmm. So like even if he does like say, hey guys, calm down, it's like we needed that 5 years ago, not now. Yeah. But anyways, I'll kind of relinquish for a bit.
I think Trump does have a really big influence on the kind of MAGA cult people. I don't really know what to call them.
Say it. Call them a cult.
The MAGA cult. I think he has a really big influence on them, but I also think that they're kind of running themselves at this point. Like they're kind of going off of things that he said in the past and all that kind of stuff. But I also think that he will have a big influence if he says something, but I don't know if it's going to be big enough.
Exactly.
And also, I want to talk about how Trump kind of just disregards people that are on the right, on the left, and where things of the extreme have also happened, like Melissa Hortman, the assassination of Melissa Hortman. He didn't even know who that was when he was asked directly about it. I think he said, "Who?" And then I could see his face change when they said that she was a Democrat, and he just became detached from it. Like, he didn't care whatsoever. I think that's scary. I think that's really scary that our own president doesn't care about assassinations of political figures unless they're on the right.
I have something to add to that later on, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think to your point, I do think we are way past him just coming out and saying some like, guys, calm down, this isn't you. But because like we are seeing censorship in front of our face. Like, we're seeing straight up like dictator like handbook in front of our face. And words aren't going to work. There's not going to be like we should all come together. And I do believe that they are running themselves now at this point. If you look at all of these like manifestos and these motivations behind people who commit things, it's people who were former Trump supporters who don't believe that he's doing enough. So like, if we're seeing enough people who like, and even with Charlie Kirk, like the Nick Fuentes of it all, where like, this is a whole group of people that are literally like, he's not evil enough, pretty much. So it's like, I don't have any confidence that Trump saying something is going to stop any form of violence, to be honest. I think we're way past that.
What I wanted to add on is I think he actually likes the violence, and I'll give a few reasons. But first of all, the point of like him forgetting the Minnesota legislators, he was asked, I think on White House grounds, like I think it was probably before he went to the UK, he's like, hey, Mr. Trump, with the assassination of one of your friends, like, how are you holding up the last couple days? And he's like, I'm doing okay. Oh, by the way, do you see over here the grand ballroom is in construction? And it's just like, what?
He's old. He's old.
But I think he actually likes the violence because there's this phrase, it's called violence entrepreneurs or something like that. It is like he is looking for a way to tighten his power, to add more power. And we're seeing this. I just saw an article earlier today that the FBI is thinking of labeling like all trans people as like terrorists or something like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Really? The FBI?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's Cash Patel.
Yeah. Who
Have you
said that
seen
Trump
that
is
guy?
not in the Epstein files.
Any picture of him, you don't even know like anything. You automatically know he has no idea what he's doing. He posted, "We got the guy," when they arrested the old dude that literally had nothing to do with the assassination. All that to say, I do broadly agree with all of you that we are too far gone.
Yeah.
I have a picture I need to show you later on.
Based in nothing. It better not be something violent.
It won't.
But I guess maybe
Never
it's
know.
still a naive part of me because I do have like family ties to MAGA, and I vehemently disagree with everything they stand for at this point.
Yeah.
But because to me the alternative is like people take things into their own hands, and I don't know if I trust that to remain civil, let's say. But also something does need to happen, or else we're just going to go further and further into actual fascism.
Yeah, exactly. We have an even bigger like personal connection on campus. Like as interns of Discourse Series, it is our responsibility to use words to advance the world. So like on the one hand, like I'm so tempted to agree with people that like, well, I guess violence is the only way forward. Like that's just kind of how the world is. But like as tempted as I am to kind of side with that group on the left and people who are calling for it on the right, but not side with them, obviously. But it is our duty to be doing stuff like this, stuff like our panels, stuff like our debates, to be talking about issues and try to push us in a productive way forward. So, like, is it naive? Probably, but like it's kind of our job at this point.
Yeah.
I feel like us as individuals, this is all we really can do right now, being, in school and broke. And without like any real form of stability. I think there's not much that we can do, but I think that by doing this, it at least makes us feel a little bit better for the most part. I don't know. It gives me a little bit of hope. I'm an optimist, so I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt, but yeah.
maybe we'll be a role model for just one person.
Maybe all of our millions of viewers, somebody.
Or we bait one person enough so that they comment a paragraph about why we're wrong.
Oh my God.
Yes.
We've
which
seen
happens
that.
more so. But yeah, I hear you all. We're all very stressed, very, I'd go as far as to say scared myself.
I'm scared.
And I'm like a white guy. Like, I can only imagine, like, for other kinds of people, right? What do we, like, give to people at a time like this, you know, in our position being students? Like, even, like, Trump's approval rating is down to, like, 29%. People in his own party on the conservative side are doubting him. We have the Epstein stuff that people on the right are advocating for being released as well. All that to say, we have people on the right who are disgruntled with Trump. And then, of course, we have all the lefties. All of us are worried and almost bracing for some kind of increase in violence, if not a kind of war. What do we tell those people?
Man, I don't even know.
Wait till 2026.
Yeah.
Vote in the midterms. I mean, that's the thing is, like, Republicans have a supermajority. Like, there is not a thing, at least legislatively, that we can do. I mean, we can be Cory Bookers and, like, filibuster for 25 hours, but that's not going to do anything, and it's honestly kind of performative. So, like, I don't know.
And I don't even know if waiting until then is going to do anything either, because have you seen the Supreme Court?
Have you met the Supreme Court?
Have you met the Supreme Court? That's a good poll. I fear we may be in for kind of a long ride with this one.
Sorry, was it?
No, I was making a joke.
I think that as much as we are, you know, I think everyone's expressed that they're pretty scared. I think that that's exactly what his goal is, because it's not profound to say that fear is power and control. And the more that people are scared, the more they turn to their leader. And so as much as it is frightening, I think it's also important as white people to acknowledge that minorities live in this fear every single day because of this man.
And more, yeah.
And more. So it's like, I think that the Charlie Kirk situation, for example, shook a lot of white people because it was like, oh my God, a person who looks like me was killed. And
killed by a person who looks like me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it was alarming for that reason, but like people are seeing that every single day in their own communities. And so I think that as much as it's scary to do something, I think it's because white people are being faced with the actual uncomfortability of making change and doing something, which is something that we don't face very often because we may be advocates for others, but we're not feeling that on a personal level. This is the first time that we're feeling that on a personal level.
I guess I have a feeling that I have a question that might relate to this. Do we think that specifically the Charlie Kirk thing, do you think this will be kind of like just normal media stuff, like it'll be gone in 2 weeks? Or is this a J6 9/11-esque event that like we're going to be talking about this every day for the next 4 years? Like, how do we feel about how this will be, you know, how will this remain in the media?
Well, knowing how Trump moves, he's probably going to do something drastically terrible again in 2 weeks, so we'll be on to the next.
2 weeks is generous.
But yeah, you're right. Tomorrow, today, next hour. I don't even think J6 really had that much staying power. I know people still mention it, but it kind of fell off like pretty quick for how obscene it was.
I guess like the media I consume, that's not the case, but for everyday people, you're probably right.
No, yeah, for me, it's the same, but I have to like remember that I am 24/7 watching this stuff. So
yeah, to me, I think it. And again, this accounts for like, you know, the media cycle, like getting something new and spitting it out every 3 days or whatever. But I think that the influence that this event will have will really be determined by how strong Turning Point USA comes out of it. I mean, his wife came out with a very strong, you know, quite frankly, emotional, but still kind of rallying cry after his assassination on Turning Point, right? And we had J.D. Vance on that, which is just another. First, we're getting censorship of opponents in the media, and now we're having actual elected politicians on the media, which is another conversation. But nonetheless, I think if Turning Point can successfully martyr him for the MAGA cause, then that might be something a little scarier. But otherwise, I mean, maybe it fizzles out because their head of the corporation's gone and it fizzles away. But I really don't know. Time will have to tell.
Yeah, I mean, I think the media comes out with a new thing every day, or at least every week, especially under the Trump administration.
Just like us.
That's true.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. But yeah, I think things come up again, as we've seen with Trump. Like, a lot of things come back up again, like the Epstein files. And then also the J6 pardons. I mean, I think that was talked about. So I think the effect that the Charlie Kirk assassination is going to have will definitely come back up again in the following years, but I don't know if it's going to be like this big turning point that we all think it may be.
Nice one.
That was a nice one.
That wasn't even intentional.
Pun.
Turning
not
Point.
intended.
USA.
His organization.
Yeah.
I once did an incognito attendance
I
of one
did
of those
not.
meetings, and then proceeded to debate all of the hardest leaning Kirk supporters about abortion at their
God.
meeting. That was low-key really fun.
Oh yeah, these vigils are borderline like white supremacy meetings.
Oh, it's actually insane. Sorry. Personal opinion.
Personal opinion. Does not represent Discourse Series.
Does not represent Discourse Series.
But yeah, y'all are going to love this poll. Goofy
boy.
times
Oh, God.
Oh,
that
gosh.
we're living in.
Not the
I don't know, is it nuanced?
I'd say it's quite nuanced, but it also isn't at all. I don't know. For a while, and you can even look back at our earlier podcasts where it was just us. Like, my big thing was words can do it. If you say the right thing to the right person, you can finally, make the change you need to. But even me, who was so stalwart in that position, is reaching a point where I'm like, okay, half of our country is definitionally like DSM-5 delusional. And words aren't going to do it. And I mean, regarding whether or not J6, the assassination, will matter, it might not in the short term while we're living through the changes that the years bring. But another naive part of me will like to think that some decades into the future, after all the fire has been turned down, people will look back and kind of rebuild based off of the mistakes that our country made. But hopefully it doesn't come to that. But I don't know anymore.
I feel like it's hard to share my own opinion because it changes so frequently based on all of the information that keeps coming out and information that I'm hearing and people's opinions. Like, it's just hard for me to share my opinion now when I know it may be different tomorrow. I just think that comes with the media and also just not having access to all the information when it happens. And why it happens.
And like the flip side of you saying, opinions change. Nancy Mace on Twitter is the most performative person ever. Before we knew who the shooter was, she was like calling out trans people, calling out black people, like BLM, whoever. Everything
slurs
that
included.
Yeah, everything you can think of
The
that
works.
that the right is against. And then it comes out that it's just like a white dude who, he's in Utah. I could have told you that. And he's like, he was obviously disgruntled. We should all be praying. And it was just like,
He's a lost soul.
shut up.
Well, even the governor of
Lord.
Utah
He's a
coming
lost soul
out and
'cause he's
saying,
white.
quote,
Yeah.
I was really hoping he wasn't one of our own.
I guess.
Yeah.
What
Yes.
the hell? And I mean, I get it, somebody from your own state, but
That's not what he
bullshit.
meant.
No, you
Yeah.
weren't.
We know what you meant.
Yeah.
Play the
He probably
Dex- play the
knew,
Dexter
given
song.
the demographic of Utah, that it was probably going to be a conservative that did it.
Yeah.
I mean, the first attempt on Trump's life, conservative did it.
Yep.
The second one didn't really go anywhere, but it was a conservative dude.
Yeah.
At the very least, this isn't all just coming from the left as it's being propelled. And I feel like one thing we can maybe give people listening, which might be a little scary for y'all, is fight back on, the narrative that it's all our fault,
Yeah.
because it quite frankly isn't. And if you want to take it a step further, you can start blaming Republicans. Of course, you want to do it constructively, but
They won't care, but
they won't care. But nonetheless, we're consistently being put down in the media, in the culture, even in some of our like relationships at this point. And for a while, the Democratic Party, as you put it very well earlier, is just kind of rolling over and taking it. And at the very least, what we can do is stop that and at least stand on our own 2 feet. If not, start taking strides towards something better. But don't be as afraid to be strong in your beliefs, I guess, is something I'd leave.
Yeah. I think placing blame on the left gives the right more power, or the more like extremist MAGA cult people.
But don't get baited.
Don't
do it constructively. Do it constructively.
Don't get baited.
Yeah. No, I think that the left also like is I do think that they're more empathetic, obviously. And try to find like a common ground with these people who are literally insane. Like they're crazy. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, you totally changed my mind. I love immigrants, like they're not going to do that. Like that's just not, and a lot of people on the left waste so much time. And as much as I would love to be like, conversations are great, so I've found myself like in the past couple of years being like, there's actually no point in speaking to you because you're just not here to learn anything. And so I think stop wasting your time on that kind of stuff. I think the left individuals are trying to tackle right individuals when in reality, like the left needs to get it together. Like we need to tighten up and actually be a group, because right now they have a very strong group and we have like 50 different kinds of left. Like there are so many different kinds and everyone's finding these very nitpicky things. And like kind of on that, I think in like 2020 with the reaction to George Floyd is a very good example of the fact that we are capable of getting it together. But I think it's, again, that comfortability, and it's like being willing to actually risk your comfortability. I think that was a very powerful time where people were able to actually come together, and instead of like fighting against the right, they were fighting for something as a unit. And then people got uncomfortable and the left started being like, well, maybe we shouldn't be burning things, and like maybe we shouldn't be like, and then they backed up, and so it wasn't able to be as powerful as it was because there was like half of the left was like, let's work with the system and let's be civil and cordial with these people that aren't going to listen to you. Like,
I mean, I'll slightly push back on putting all the blame on the left, or not all the blame, but some blame on the left. There's not a doubt in my mind that without Elon Musk, the Democrats would have won 2024. I think, and the biggest thing that is dividing the party right now is economics and Israel-Palestine. Like those are I think the two, single issue things that affected voters. So I don't know. I think as people are looking more into the country and it's just saying like, okay, political violence, economics, international affairs, like we have a very, very big issue with this primary thing. We need to, I think they will come together just by necessity of, everything that's going on right now. All the deportations, all the civil rights being abused, calls for a civil war, et cetera. Like, I think people will be able to put aside their like kind of separate things like, oh, it'd be really nice if we had a more socialized economy. To be like, we need to get these people out of office. But that's my opinion.
No, yeah, I just for clarification, I don't put all the blame on the left. I think that it's disheartening as someone on the left to watch them just fumble.
I think more so maybe it would be like, it is entirely at this point the left's responsibility because look at this picture. Just look at this picture. The President of the United States, a position held by George Washington, Abraham Lincoln,
good Lord,
FDR, like JFK. This man is in that same position, has the same authority, and if not more so.
Way more.
Given to him. And they're not going to change. He's not going to change. And it would be the left's responsibility to figure its shit out just enough to not get eradicated, right? One thing that I heard online that I will become an advocate for is there is no virtue in showing up to a gunfight with a knife. If you know that the opponent's going to bring a gun, I don't want to, take it too hard on. No, you're just going to die, and then there's going to be no point, and they're going to rule the country. Yeah.
Democracy only works if the other side is using words too.
Exactly. But talk to each other on the left. I would think that'd probably be far more constructive and really iron out how imperative it is that we get this man and his ideology out of our government as quickly as possible through legal means. But
Impeach them all.
Impeach them all.
2026. Let's
Impeach them
go.
all. But yeah, any other points we want to talk about, or anything we want to get in before we wrap this one up?
I don't think so. I just hope that the left can get it together sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
So that is the hope.
That is a hope, yes.
And we need to stop being so centrist.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So real.
Centrism is dead. Okay, you were lying.
It
if you
has
say
been
you're
for a while.
centrist.
People who say they're centrist are righties.
But
Hot take.
well, okay.
No, not hot take. I
Clock
think
it.
That's so frozen take. Frozen.
Okay.
But thank you all for the conversation. I feel like this is really good,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
to really get into the meat and potatoes of
To meat and potatoes.
yeah, really start bean counting all the violence that we
Oh,
experienced over the
God.
past few weeks. Sorry, inside
How much
jokes.
do you know about Texas?
But nonetheless, great
See
conversation.
what I have to deal with.
Next week, I believe it will be Logan.
Yes.
Who has picked a topic. What
So-
is it going to be?
Next week, it is my topic. Since we were talking about the future, we were obviously going to talk about technology. And one facet that I think would be obviously important for us to zero in next week would be AI, how it is used in education. We have that debate coming, or not a debate, the panel coming
Panel,
up
yes.
October 7th.
October 7th.
Okay.
Good job. He remembers.
Yeah. October 7th. Wasn't that? Is that the same date that Hamas invaded? October 7th?
Yes.
It was indeed.
Huh. Anyways, completely unrelated. I just
Entirely.
Good.
I was
Goodness.
just seeing if my history knowledge was correct.
This is-
So yeah, we're going to be talking about AI and how it'll be
AI.
used in the future and all manner of things. So
Yeah.
it's that will be an actually fun conversation.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes. I don't know. I thought this one was super fun. I don't know what you're
So
talking
much-
about.
I mean, look at how fun and
Okay.
epic and base our picture is that we have up.
Yeah, our supreme leader is dripped out of his mind.
Anyway, thank you, Maggie, for
Thank you
being
so
on our
much for joining
episode.
us.
Thank you for having me.
It was really great to hear your point of view and to have you included in on this. So
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you.
Well, I guess with that, then I've been Peyton,
I've been Logan.
I've been Abby.
And I've been Maggie.
and we will see you all in the next episode. Goodbye.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
guys.